Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Binary Friends, the only podcast where we take binary friends and make them real ones. This week, however, we have a special situation, and that is a longtime friend. He's actually a real friend, and he's going to become a binary friend. This dude is awesome. I always thought he was funny as hell, and just knew one day I had to get him on the internet. This is my friend, Andy. Say hi, Andy.
Hey everybody! And it's great to be on the internet for something other than penis shots. So this will be refreshing that you can actually hear the luscious voice behind this masculine dick.
Oh, what a way to start. What's been up?
Oh, the huge. Mostly keeping track of all the internet stuff going on. Everybody's going their heads off with the new E3 conference going on this week. So I've been tracking a lot of that lately.
Oh, are we jumping right into E3 stuff already?
We don't have to, but I just asked what's up. So the only thing I do besides work, sleep, and love myself in any way possible a human being could, I've been keeping track of video game news.
Let's get right into it, man. What's had you most excited for E3 this week?
God, there's a lot. I know people are like harking about like the new Nintendo presentation of the Zelda thing, which I gotta tell you, man, have you actually seen the presentations, like all the conferences yet?
For those who don't know, we're talking about the newest Legend of Zelda. It is called Legend of Zelda. What's it called? Breath of something?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. And I have seen some gameplay. I've seen one of the presentations. I've seen enough that I needed to see. I've seen all the improvements they made of it and everything, but I didn't need to like fanboy over it and just go, I have to watch every waking minute now. I see what I needed to see and I was done.
Yeah, no, I don't fanboy like that. There's been like a couple of videos where I saw the trailer and it was neat. I watched the press conferences because why not?
Sure,
Sure. But like, since Nintendo doesn't do a press conference, they do like a subtle little like club gathering thing, which I guess it's okay. They want to do their own thing, but they kind of feel like the special kid at the back of the bus. Like, I brought Zelda. It's like, oh, good for you, Nintendo. Let the big boys do their stage presentation. Like, Sony had an orchestra. Microsoft had like all these exclusives and all these features that they were showing off, and Nintendo's like, but we got Zelda. And I'm like, okay, thanks. Moving on.
Moving on, indeed. Yeah. So obviously Zelda didn't do it for you. What did it for you then?
um, a couple of things. Like, I like the direction that Sony was going with a lot of their games. Although, the more I watch them do their demonstrations, the more I realize that, like, and E3 does this every year where they kind of chalk up a lot of the games to be like way better than they actually are. Like when you look at Far Cry, when it showed off like Far Cry 4 at E3 versus reality, like they always kind of gussy it up like a peacock wearing a tuxedo. Like it's already a peacock. Take the suit off of it. But
Right.
they showed this gameplay that couldn't possibly happen. Like you got a guy that's being bombarded in the one game, Days Gone. He's literally fighting like 100 zombies with one gun, and he doesn't die once. And he goes all around this farmland like a freaking chicken with his head cut off and a gun in his hand, and he doesn't die once. And I'm like, that's totally unrealistic. Anybody playing in that game in that situation would have died like a million times by then. Got frustrated, turned off the game, threw the controller out the window, hit poor Mrs. Nelson up on the other side of the street, and then been done with it. Like I don't understand that.
Obviously.
Right. So, it was something that like I like that for Sony. Like the God of War stuff was really neat. Horizon. I love to play against robot dinosaurs. That's like a 6-year-old fantasy of mine that I would love to kind of reenact. Um, but this time, for realsies. And Microsoft, I mean, they kind of had their good points and their bad points. I love how they obsolete themselves within the same presentation. Like that part was like, wow, that is bold.
Hold
Like
on.
they unleash a new hardware system at the beginning of the show and be like, oh, here is the new and improved Xbox One, the small version. And you're like, oh yeah, that looks fantastic. And then at the end of the show, they're like, but wait, there's something better than that coming next year. What the fuck was the point of the first one?
So you said you've seen these. You mentioned a couple things about the Sony press conference. What else did you think of the Sony press conference? Since you obviously had a problem with Microsoft's and Nintendo's, how about Sony win it for you? Or
I didn't think there was a winner. I mean, everybody is thinking like, because I've seen a couple reactions to it and heard some people talk about it, and they're like, oh, that was the greatest press conference in E3 like ever, and I'm like, dude, chill out. You saw Spider-Man, Crash Bandicoot, and Kratos from God of War. Like, that doesn't make the best conference ever. So I think like the fanboyism for Sony is like at a zenith point to where I don't think you could open the doors on that press conference without being drowned in a sea of cum. But um, it is what it is. Like, I enjoyed everything. I mean, it's a good time to be a video gamer. Everybody's in their try hard moments right now, and as long as they want to keep making me electronics that'll jerk me off in my chair, I'll take it.
I will say this. I will say this much though. I mean, one thing about Sony that I do still like is they're starting to go back to what made them a great video game company to begin with, in my opinion, and that's having exclusives. Like PS2, PS1, they had exclusives, especially PS2, and that was the reason to buy PlayStation 2 over original Xbox. I mean, original Xbox had exclusive too, but how many people knew what Halo was when Microsoft first said we're going to make a video game console?
Yeah, they were like, let there be shooters, and then gave us Halo, and we're like, screw your Halo. Like, I got other shit to do.
Right. You were like, screw your Halo. Have you seen God of War?
Yeah, yeah. Which I did, and I enjoyed. I only ever played the first one because the other ones just seemed kind of monotonous after a while.
Blasphemy. God of War
Look,
2 is amazing, dude.
yeah, but I mean, like when you kill the gods, like where else is there to go?
The rest of them?
The rest of them.
And then Titans. Spoiler.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit. No, these games are old enough. It's like saying like spoiler alert for Casablanca. Like no, you uneducated heathens, go watch it.
That's funny. How about South Park and the Fractured But Whole? Have you seen that?
I did see the presentation for South Park, The Fractured Butthole, and I loved the crap out of Stick of Truth. It
Yeah.
was like an incredibly hilarious game, and to know that they're back at it, but with like the superhero genre flip is like amazing to me. Like I cannot wait to dive into that.
Have you seen any gameplay for it, or?
Yeah, I saw the brief instances of the character customization and the little tidbits of humor from like the start of the game. And I
Yeah.
love it how they're like it's just a continuation from Stick of Truth where like you're the hero and they're like, well, dude, fuck you, you're back to being a douchebag. Like, you may be the king, but we're not doing heroes anymore, or we're not doing fantasy anymore. We're doing heroes, and you're nobody. So
You don't even have a power. Yeah.
hey, you don't even have powers. Like you're just what royalty? Screw you.
That was awesome.
I love
Uh,
it.
yeah, it was really good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me for E3. Like, I mean, I'm a PC gamer now. I don't really, you know, I see
Wait, so
E3
wait a
and
minute.
I.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I'm used to it. If
Well, I was gonna say like
I'm going to interrupt you here for a second here actually because being as good of a friend as Andy is, he has not listened to my podcast for a single second yet because he's such a good friend. But
oh man,
oh yeah, I'm calling you out on here. So
oh man.
if he did listen to it, he would know that I'm interrupted quite oftenly, as do I interrupt quite oftenly with my co-host Mike. Shout outs to Mike. He couldn't be here today again. He'll be coming back soon though, folks. Don't worry.
Yeah, you don't need to put up with me for very long.
I have a feeling no one's gonna mind putting up with you, but that's just a hunch. But yeah. So anyway, where were we going with that?
Yeah, I don't know. But I know that while I was interrupting you, I was thinking of other ways to interrupt you. So
Great.
just like that.
Can't wait. Um,
Yeah. No, the other thing I wanted to touch on with E3 just before we close out on that. What do you think of the VR trend?
Honestly, I still feel the same way about it that I did when it first came out. It's going to be similar to the Wii movement, where everyone was like, oh my god, Wii, motion controls, they finally did it. And then they're going to find something for it, similar to Wii Fit, that everyone's going to have to get. It's going to be a little bit of a trend, just as you called it, and it's going to die out. The only difference being, instead of like the Wii dying out with the motion control pretty much completely, I think VR is going to move into the realm of porn and really make a killing.
Yeah, that's the actual experience that you want to be in. Because if they're talking about immersion, like oh, it's like you're there in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. Why would I want that?
Yeah,
Like just make VR compatible with Pornhub, and then nobody will ever go to work
it,
ever.
it's already a thing. Or should
No.
I be?
Wait, what? Like, this is
I,
a thing. Like
yeah,
virtual
like
reality's on Pornhub right now.
to an extent. I mean, yeah, like you could put on VR headsets and you get like POV videos, point of view videos that make it look like you're there, and you move your head around and you can actually see the whereabouts of the room and look at different parts of the woman and everything like that. Or man, if you're into that kind of stuff, but or if you're a woman.
Wow. All right, I would immediately lose the immersion when I saw that my junk was black, but it's a good effort.
Oh, I'm sure they have junks to fit all sizes. But yeah, it's already kind of here, and I mean, if it takes off anymore like I expect it to, that's going to become a big deal. I think. I think that's going to be where porn moves next. Like it's starting off with video games, and that's fine. I honestly hope it does take off a little bit. I think it's a cool idea. I just hope it doesn't dominate. I am kind of tired of the concept of things dominating the video game industry. For example, shooters. I'm not a big fan ever since we already mentioned Halo. I don't really like Halo. I know, hate me. But
I do constantly.
I'm not a fan of Halo, and quite frankly, I'm also not a fan of shooters in general anymore. That being said, lately I've been playing a shooter.
Overwatch, like the rest of the world.
Yes, Overwatch like the rest of the world.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad that your hoity-toity like high pants can actually fit on that particular bandwagon.
Dude, it's fun. Like, what do
It
you
really is. It's satisfying gameplay, which I think Blizzard hit a home run on that one.
Yeah, for once. Um, but yeah, let's get out of we'll kind of transition into the next topic because we are professionals on this podcast and we announce when we're making our transitions.
You're a professional. I prefer the term of unreluctant segue.
Fair enough. So speaking of things hitting home runs and not always hitting home runs, do you have any games out there that you play that you probably shouldn't like?
That I probably shouldn't like.
Yeah, or that you have played that you enjoyed but probably shouldn't have, like a guilty pleasure for video games.
Um, no, like I actually kind of consider all of my pleasures to be guilty. Um, I feel that I probably shouldn't enjoy any of it. Especially by 1950s American standards. That I don't work hard. I don't I don't covet women's opinions as highly as I should.
Oh my
Um,
god.
like no like I'm I'm actually a terrible human being.
It's going to
So
hard to get back from that one.
I'm actually a very terrible human being. But the idea that I actually partake in anything that is me sitting for hours on end on my already bulbous childbearing hips to play a fictional story about a hero that is doing way more heroic shit than I could ever even dream about, it seems kind of guilty.
Is it though? I mean, you can't dream about it, so it's obviously a handicap. Because obviously you want to dream about this heroic shit, but you can't. So now
True.
it's giving you the option to not only be able to dream about it, but to actually see it because your imagination is too minute to come up with this stuff. So someone else has already come up with it for you, and you like it.
Yeah, I could see your point on that one. Yeah, I don't I definitely don't play the dating sims. That is something that everybody should be guilty about doing.
Dating sim?
Um, yeah, like the dating simulators on like the flash games on
Oh
various.
God.
Yeah, most of those are the Japanese like pimp daddy games, which I apparently can't. Like I cannot get into the concept of doing that. I'm sorry. Like I can't even find myself in real dates, let alone trying to partake in digital ones.
Well, I mean, if it works for some people. Uh,
I think though, if I was to say one, I was one of the suckers that bought Brink. So
I
I suppose that one is one that I shouldn't have done.
luckily I pre-ordered it because Bethesda for me was just like on fire. They could do no wrong. So I was like, they came out with the announcement for Brink and they started showing gameplay and stuff like that, and I'm like, this looks fascinating. Like the whole parkour thing and all that in a shooter. I'm like, this is what's going to change shooters for me. Because I've always been very heavy on platforming games.
And the
And
trailer was amazing.
right. So I'm like, yeah, this is going to be it. Like, I'm going to check it out. And I pre-ordered it. Only dropped about $5 on it at first. And thankfully I couldn't pay it off and forgot about it when it came out. And then I went to the local video game store and seen that it was still a pre-order of mine. And I have already heard and played a little bit of it, and I was like, yeah, why don't we put that on something else?
Yeah, that stuff was probably best left to buy Milk Bones. Like it, you did not need the money for anything else other than stuff to like make yourself even more sad than Braid. No way. Like that was just terrible. It was like if Overwatch didn't have any of the polish on it, or any of the fun, or any of the memorable moments, or any of the no, it's just shitty.
Yeah, I agree completely. But so speaking of shittiness, and as you said, you're a terrible person. Why don't we get into some more terrible people around the world?
Oh, I love this. All right, so who do you have in mind?
Well, I have couple stories here. Um, one coming out of Quebec. Uh, the title for the story, the headline here is "Kiss of Death." 20-year-old woman dies after kissing boyfriend goodnight. And basically, what happened was a late night kiss from her boyfriend turned out fatal for a Quebec woman who has severe peanut allergy. She died because of complications caused by severe allergic reaction to peanuts. The tragic incident happened after she kissed her boyfriend, who just ate a peanut butter sandwich and who was at the time not aware of her food allergy.
Oh
How
wow.
pissed off will you be? I guess this isn't really a terrible person thing, but I mean, it's just bizarre and just like you
Yeah,
know,
I would imagine like peanuts are a relatively common food item, especially like unless they were dating like just that night and that was it. That's something worth mentioning if you're so allergic to it that the residue on somebody's lips kills you.
yeah, I'm almost kind of feeling bad for the guy and not so much the girl. I mean, it sucks that she died. It absolutely. But here's the thing. Like you said, tell the guy that you're that allergic to peanuts.
Yeah,
Don't just
like
let that go, especially if you're giving him a kiss goodnight. It's I would say it's safe to say the man just had a peanut butter sandwich. You're probably in someone's home. No one goes out to a restaurant and says, "I'll take the peanut butter sandwich." So you're probably either in his home or your home,
yeah,
which
and the
means
idea like
which
if he
means
had just eaten it, she's seen him eat it. So either she saw him eat it or like he ate it unbeknownst to her. But like peanut butter is unmistakably, smelly. Like you can smell peanut butter.
sure.
Like I can tell when somebody down the street has had peanut butter.
Yeah.
Like it's noticeable. So the idea that I think she was in on it. She wanted to go. She wanted to die, and her boyfriend was the unwitting Kevorkian.
Miriam, the woman, the victim here, who went to a party earlier that night with her boyfriend, did not have with her EpiPen, a medical device used to inject a medical dose of the medicine, epinephrine, used to treat
Epinephrine,
epinephrine. There you are. Yeah.
showing your unculturedness yet again.
Absolutely. I do that well here. Used to treat life-threatening allergic reactions, she did not also have her medic alert bracelet, which could have been a lifesaver for her.
Yeah, see, now that's drawing ever closer to the conclusion that it was just it's a hell of a way. It's almost like death by cops. It's like you know what you're doing. Go in there and just get it done.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Why would you not have that stuff on you? I mean, see, and that right there is I'm sure she was a lovely person. I am not going to, try to downplay her character at all. But I will say that is the ever growing signs that youth is becoming dumber and dumber as the generations go on.
absolutely. Look, and a medical woman here even has something to say. Christine McCusker from Montreal Children's Hospital reiterated the importance of telling people about food allergies and always carrying the medical device. You have to say, listen, guys, I have food allergies. I have my EpiPen. If there is a problem, help me, she said. You always have to carry your EpiPen, even though you don't want to, and even though it's not cool. Like, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, like your EpiPen is your condom. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
True words have never been spoken.
That's what I'm here for.
Let's move on. So from
And
Canada,
the peanut industry needs better PR for this.
yeah, you know what? Why haven't they done that? Like, I mean, if you think about it, the peanut industry probably almost gets a bad rap from some of this stuff. Like, I know in some schools are even stopping peanut butter and jelly because of how common peanut allergies are becoming.
Yeah. So pretty much at some point 20 years into the future, America is going to be buried under mounds of peanuts, and there's nothing that we can do about it because everybody's going to be too allergic to eat it.
That's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Well, it's either that or like they need to find imagine the medical breakthrough that they have when they're like, all right, so we couldn't cure cancer, but we cured the allergy to peanuts. Like that's where all their money goes to find the cure for peanut allergies.
Well, they kind of have actually. I know there's a shot, and I'm sure if I'm wrong, I'll be told about it. But I think there's a shot that actually maybe temporarily makes you immune to the allergy, or just gives your body the wherewithal to fight it off.
Huh.
That's about all I know.
You can temporarily be a super soldier just to survive a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But the
Right.
entire time you're going to be on pins and needles because you don't know when it wears off, so you could die at any point during the digestion process.
That's a good point, man. I never thought of it that way.
Like if it's only temporary, you have no idea when it's going to stop. So before you have that bowel movement that gets it completely out of your system, like you are holding on to like a ticking time bomb deadly turd that still has peanuts in it that could kill you at any moment.
I knew a guy though. He was allergic to peanuts, and he's never had peanut butter before. Like he's never had a Reese's cup or peanut butter crackers or anything like
You had a
that.
Reese's cup?
Yeah, he's allergic to peanuts. He can't eat them.
Oh my god, like that. I know people have been allergic to peanuts, but the idea that they couldn't have Reese's, like,
Well, I mean, hey.
oh god, what's the point of living?
Well, that's kind of what we told him, and next thing you know, he got a shot to kind of combat the allergy, and he was able to eat them. And ever since then, he regularly gets the. Well, I haven't talked to him in years, but he started regularly getting the shot to make sure that he can always eat peanut butter because he fell in love with it. He was like, "Oh my god, this stuff's amazing."
Huh. Good for him. I'm glad. That is a strong thing on the bucket list to cross off. Had Reese's.
Yeah, that's a winner right there.
Yeah, most people take that for granted.
Speaking of winners, let's move to Oregon, where there was a gentleman who decided he was robbing. Let's see, what was he robbing? I believe it was.
A doghouse.
Okay, someone was stealing a woman's bicycle in a parking lot of a Walmart,
Okay.
and what do you think happens? So the woman's shouting for help, and someone hears her. What do you think the next thing is that happens?
Okay, so either he turns into Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and like, lassos him with like a bike chain and gets him off of it, or somebody that's dropping off like a woman in the handicap spot decides to take matters in his own hand and hit him with a van.
It's it's almost a shame how close you are with the first one. So, according to Medford Mail Tribune, local rancher Robert Barbara was loading up his truck after a shopping trip to the Eagle Point or Walmart as he was tossing dog food and a new tent into the truck. He heard a woman shouting for help because someone was stealing her bicycle. Barbara, who was on his way to California for a cattle roundup, happened to have his trusty sidekick, Long John, in a trailer, which is a horse. So he quickly mounted up, grabbed a rope, and rode to the rescue.
Wow. That is some Silverado crap right there. Like that is amazing.
Quotes Barbara, I seen this fella trying to get up to speed on a bicycle. I wasn't going to catch him on foot. I just don't run very fast.
No, if you're gonna do that, you got to get the whole cowboy accent. It's like, well, I seen here this here woman that was saying that she had this bicycle stolen, so I just got up on my horse here, Thunder Thighs, and I grabbed my rope, and then I done ran him down, routed him, if you will.
Long John. The horse's name is Long John.
I like Thunderthighs. It
uh,
is more descriptive in what the horse has very large assets in the hind area, hence the Thunderthighs.
the police department sergeant says we've never had anyone lassoed and held until we got there. That's a first for me.
I can only imagine that conversation too, when the guy's just like sitting there tied up, like with a cowboy standing over him, and he's like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, like I never thought this would actually happen in my lifetime."
The guy says, I use a rope every day. That's how I make my living. If it catches cattle pretty good, it catches a bandit pretty good too.
Yeah. If it's good enough for a cow, it's good enough for a person.
Oh, that's a brilliant quote.
That is inspiration. That should be on a poster somewhere hanging in someone's office in front of their computer.
Oh, that's fascinating.
The
So,
world we live in.
yeah, seriously, I mean, like, this is about as close as we're probably going to get to, like, a superhero thing going on.
No, I've seen the documentaries on those. I've seen what real superheroes look like, and it's just terrifying that that's a thing.
Andy, those aren't documentaries. Those are $1 million budget movies made by a company
No,
called...
no, 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 no. No. Not only those, but there are actual people in actual cities and towns that don colorful costumes and air quotations fight crime. Um, there's now they don't actually do anything of that sort. A lot of them. There's even one guy. I forget his name, but he dresses up in a costume, and all he does is his patrol is just going to the same bar every night and drinking. But if you ask him, he swears he's a superhero. Versus a trio, two very large biker dudes and a chick that they catch people through entrapment. Like they would actually she would play damsel in distress or go down dark alleys by herself to attract unwanted people, and then in being attacked, the other two guys jump them, beat the shit out of them, and then call it thwarted crime. And like cops are like, you can't do that. Like, that's not a thing. That's not justice.
Sounds like something out of an Adam Sandler movie.
What isn't out of an Adam Sandler movie?
There's a bad joke I can make right here, but I'm not going to because I'm an Adam Sandler fan.
I'm glad that you're taking the high road on this, because usually people like you don't like heights.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So speaking of ailments,
Mhm.
why don't you tell us a little bit about if you want, of course, if you want to get into this or whatever. I think it's quite a fascinating story actually about your eyes.
Oh God. Well, I've never seen them.
Okay, so
not directly anyway. I've always had to see my eyes secondhand. So
for everyone out there, Andy here has glasses that are like very headache inducing as soon as you put them on. Like they're super thick. The man is literally as blind as a bat.
yeah, the prescription is filled out by NASA. It's very cumbersome to renew.
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
Yeah, that's the fun part, right?
And the sad thing is, folks, is if you've seen the guy's glasses, you would actually believe it.
Yeah, and it has been like, the thing that I've actually been annoyed about it the most is having to cart these things around literally my entire life, and being unjustly labeled as a nerd. I am not a nerd, damn it.
Yes, you are. You literally just opened up a guest spot on a podcast and talked for 20 minutes about E3 and how excited you are, and yet bashed every single thing they had to show. How is that not a nerd?
Touche. Although to be fair, there are a lot of people who don't have nerd-like qualities that invest in the latest smartphones and internet bullcrap.
Yeah, those people are called reporters and get paid for their jobs. How much did you get paid for watching E3? I rest my case.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that.
So, what is it like? It's a condition that your eyes have, right?
Yeah, it's a rare condition, this day and age. It's called nanophthalmos.
Uh-huh.
So good luck trying to spell that. But essentially, my eyes are half the size of a normal eyeball.
Right.
Um, so there's only so much light that they can physically bring in. So there's a lot of that's where a lot of the blurriness and crap like that comes into effect. Plus, it's degenerative. So like over time, I'm eventually going to lose my sight. I just don't know when. Like that's the that is the big mystery is that like I will go blind before I die, but I have no idea when that's going to happen.
That's not
So
a
there's
hundred.
like a
That's not 100% true.
no, it's up to this point it's been true. Medical science is always advancing.
Well, I was referring more to the fact that you could die before you lose your sight.
I mean, I could die before I lose my sight. You're absolutely right. I could have picked the wrong fight with the wrong muscular grandmother at the wrong biker bar and just die, and I would have no one to blame but myself.
You know,
Um,
the sad thing is I feel like that would be the way you would go.
oh man, there's a whole list of ways that I want to die. Like I got a nice bucket list of things that I want to happen to me in order to die.
Let's hear it.
Oh man. All right, so the aforementioned picking a fight with a muscular grandmother.
Right.
Um, that one is one way I want to die. I want to fall from orbit. Like
That's it.
I don't
Just
care
fall
how.
forward.
Yeah, I want to fall from orbit. Like I know that like people are like well you're just gonna hit the ground and it's gonna be like fast, but yeah, I kind of like the idea of like having that moment of uh, serenity. You're kind of above the world and everything like that, and just falling to meet it. It's kind of like giving Mother Earth one big hug. I love
Okay.
you, like splat. Oh, would be amazing. Plus, my stain would last a while, so if I leave any impression on this Earth, it'll be a man-sized hole.
Your stains already do last a while.
Oh, don't talk about my laundry. Um, see, there's that. Oh, I want to go down wrestling a dinosaur bear hybrid.
What?
Yeah, I want to, preferably in the defense of a small child. I want to save a small child from a dinosaur slash bear mutagenic hybrid, and I want to do it in hand to hand combat. I think that would be a really cool way to die.
That sounds like something out of a bad comic book.
Go ahead and research it because it doesn't exist. That is fully me.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it sounds like something out of a bad comic book.
I think it sounds like something out of an awesome comic book. If I saw a guy die defending a child from a dinosaur bear, I think that would be amazing. Like, what more do you need to be impressed? You're just you. You're just
How are you impressed though? The guy died.
yeah, but I mean, what a way to go.
Does the kid live?
Uh, you know what? Screw it. Kids live too much. No, they survive way too many things. The answer is no. He dies. That kid dies. He should have picked a fight with a dinosaur bear.
You should have picked a fight with an elderly, muscly grandmother.
She was constantly calling into question my manliness. Like I had to fight her.
Fascinating.
Ugh.
Ooh. So, for all the Tell 'em Steve Dave listeners out there, Andy, you won't understand this, but you will in a second. Uh, my buddy Andy here actually has an interesting story that I'm only hoping he's willing to divulge. And if he's not, I will gladly stop the recording right now and edit this part out.
Oh, what is it?
Can you let us know about the time you've been tranny tricked?
Oh, oh my God, where do I even begin with this? Okay, so I'm gonna go on record as saying that Las Vegas is a terrible, terrible place. It is sure it's fun for the veneer and the charm and the gildedness for like maybe like 2 minutes, but once you get down and dirty, like I lived there for a little over a year. Moved out there to have a fresh start, and I fell in love with the glitz and the glam and everything like that. But I have never been hit on by more men in my life than when I moved to that city. And I mean, granted, I am awesome, but and the aforementioned childbearing hips that I swear I was meant to be a woman at some point in my life, even though I'm not. I don't really think that way. I don't want to. No traininess thoughts going through this mind, but I do have a very large butt.
Not that there's anything
Um,
wrong with that.
no, there's nothing wrong with that. Except for, my girlfriend thinks that it makes me like it makes her have lesbian tendencies, but I don't understand that concept. Um, you have a woman's ass. I don't like it. Like, well, so do you. So there.
Right.
Yeah. So for this particular story, so I went out to a bar with at the time my roommate, who invited me out to just get out on the town. I hadn't been living there very long, and I didn't have much of a nightlife. I kind of just stayed in and played World of Warcraft on my laptop. Again, not a nerd.
For shame.
Um,
For shame.
so I went out to this club and this bar. We went from the club to the bar and kind of wind down with like karaoke. And that was also the first time I did karaoke in my life, uh, which I don't know if I would ever do it again, but for the time it was kind of fun. Uh, you want to take a stab at what the song was?
Living on a prayer?
No, no, I am still heterosexual.
Don't stop believing.
No, I am a firm believer of giving up when something's too hard.
Rebel yell.
I don't have the pipes for that.
I give up.
Okay, it was Tenacious D, Fuck Her Gently.
That's a hell of a way to start.
Because while I cannot belt like Jack Black, I can certainly talk about the women lovings. And you would think after a song like that, my intentions would be pretty clear. But no. During the course of the night, I had gotten a couple of drinks, and my roommate we would take back and forth buying. She was female, and I was sitting down listening to her sing, and then all of a sudden this woman like comes in front of me and just takes a sit in my lap, and I'm like, okay, do I know you? Like, I tried to not be that kind of person that would be like, be thankful that there's a woman in your lap, don't question anything.
Sure.
But at the same token, I'm just like, who the fuck is this chick? So, I thought she was, fairly attractive or what have you. And, she's just like, oh, what's your name? How you doing? What are you drinking? Like she gets a drink, as well. And like, we were talking for a bit and she wanted to like, fool around. So like, she drags me to the bathroom and goes into the men's room, which I was like, all right, well, neat. This isn't where you go. Even friggin' 3 sheets to the wind, I'm thinking to myself, this isn't where you go. But kissed for a little bit, and then when hands started roaming, found something that I didn't want to find.
And all of a sudden, out of her mouth comes, mind if I roll greed?
Oh, if only. No, I found somebody who at tucked was better than I was, so which was discouraging for me, to say the very least. And then I wanted to throw up then and there. I also wanted the name of the surgeon because he does masterful work. That is a man who is like, Dr. Moreau style of like playing God. Gender should not be that seamless. Yeah, so I ended up just getting out of there. Like I left and I started walking down the street and my roommate finally catches up to me at some point in her car and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, why are you driving? You've been drinking. She goes, what are you doing walking? Like, because I've been drinking. And had to explain myself on what happened, and like, needless to say, I never went back to that bar. But yeah, I have been very leery about being appreciative of any woman that instantly comes on to me. Like that is definitely a mad move. I should have known from the start, but whatever. Fool me 7 times, shame on me.
If you kept the night going, you would have got some shame on you.
Oh my God. Among other things. Oh, yeah, but that was just, I mean, the Adam's apple should have been a giveaway, but I was like, nah, there's such thing as an Eve apple, right? Like, Adam isn't the only one to have apples. Eve having the apple was the reason why the things were a problem in the first place. Oh, I should have known. Oh, despite that, living in Las Vegas was still good times for me. I wouldn't trade it in for anything in the world. All the experiences I had there were very valuable, but again, not a place I would want to live.
Yeah, I bet. I
Ugh.
I think that would do it for me.
Oh, thanks for letting me reminisce. And I still don't know why I'm at half mast right now. Like this is upsetting me. like I am legitimately dealing with an angry boner, and I don't know how to react to that. Like, say what you will about being tranny tricked, he was still a fantastic kisser. Very attentive, liked my needs.
Oh, well, all right then. So
Ugh.
beyond beyond flaming E3, living in Vegas, and being tranny tricked, uh, if you could imagine it, our dear binary friend here, Andy, also is the inspiration for a local comic book character. Why don't you go
Yeah.
into a little bit about that?
All right. So a longtime friend of mine decided that he was going to, was trying to get into the comic book industry, and then, hmm?
No, I didn't say none.
Oh, okay. I thought you were rumped. How dare you? Um, as you are wont to do.
Mhm.
Wanted to get in the comic book industry, and he had a lot of stories of his own to tell, and the he eventually ended up partnering with somebody and starting his own comic book company just to get his story out there. And it was a story that we actually talked about, fairly often in our own like hangout points and bullshitting around and doing stuff.
Real quick,
And
real quick. What's the name of the What's the name of the comic book company?
Unlikely Hero Studios.
Unlike
Uh,
Studio.
anybody with even a remote liking of superhero comics should check them out. They're awesome.
Absolutely.
The comic book itself is called Super with an exclamation point because you can't say it any other way than super. Um, and it is a great book, uh, and very colorful characters, lots of pop culture references. Overall, great humor, incredibly funny to read. And one of the characters in there is called the Furious Fire Ants, to which is modeled after myself. And I
To an
am
extent.
to an extent, Um, he definitely looks a lot more dashing than I do, which I'm very thankful for. Because at least one version of me needs to be likable.
But he doesn't have quite the hips.
He does not. He does not have the hips, nor does he have the 10-pound bifocals on his face. Um, but he's still a hero, damn it. I like him too because he's like a mix of like Spider-Man and Iron Man kind of thing going on, which are two heroes I really liked growing up.
That's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Yeah, very fun character. I like how he thinks of himself more than he actually is competent enough to perform with.
So, how did it come to be that you were the model of this character?
Um, oh man, so in the early days of Super, now I don't know exactly how much of it was already written down when my friend was putting the story and the character concepts together, but it started out once upon a time ago as if you can believe it or not a role playing session.
Not
Again, not a
a
nerd.
nerd, right?
But we were doing a sort of like a homebrew superhero D20 thing, and a lot of the player characters that people were playing as ended up making it into the super final project as characters in the super universe. So you know the Fire Ant, for whatever reason, kind of transcended that barrier to the comic books and had a lot of a lot of my mannerisms and characteristics that kind of came with it. So I was very appreciative of that.
A lot of your charm.
A lot of my charm, yeah. But that's totally all charm that the Firehead has is totally all his doing. Like that's not that's definitely not me. I'm actually just very thankful and flattered that I could be contributing to the book in any way.
So what are they up to now in terms of issues?
Oh, well, they just had a successful Kickstarter campaign to get issue 6 printed and published. They're a very small company, so they don't have the resources like Marvel or DC has to be able to pump out comic books. But they've had some very successful crowdfunding campaigns. They are Digital 6 is available for digital purchase on Comixology. So if people are interested, they can pick up issue 6 there. And all the stuff was sent to the printer, so it is being printed as we speak, and should be available relatively soon. And they met some of the stretch goals to get some of the other stuff done, and they're promptly working on issue 7.
Cool. Cool. I definitely have my first copy. I know. I'm actually a little behind, and I'm kind of upset at myself for it. But as soon as I have the time to get through it, I will. But man, it really is a great comic book.
Well, I'll trade you. I will listen to your podcast if you read my comic book.
Did I tell you how great of a friend he was, guys? uh, yeah. What music you been listening to these days, though?
The same thing I've been listening to since high school, which
Oh dear Lord, no.
No, I mean the music these days usually kind of just sucks. And like I am trying not to sound hipsterish about that, but it's really really hard to.
Too late.
Just the quality of music is so terrible these days. Especially pop music. Like I'm sorry, like that is just garbage. And name a decent metal album to come out in the last 10 years.
I'm gonna stop you right there. First of all, I'm gonna tell the good folks listening to this that there have been several times where I have seen Andy here, and he had consumed a little bit of alcohol at the moment, and
Never.
he began singing some pop song. Was it? I don't remember, but he just randomly spouts out some pop songs every once in a while. So don't let him lie to you. The dude listens to pop music all the time.
I mean, I have a good appreciation for Kesha. She's a wonderful trash bag, and I love her. She is, man. That girl is a trash bag, but God help me, she's fabulous. Like putting sequins on a garbage bag. It's just incredible.
So your girlfriend tells you that she has lesbian tendencies when she looks at you. You openly admit it that you enjoyed kissing a man, and you also openly admitted that you enjoyed Kesha's music. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Well, hopefully you'll not find out about any of the murders. But you won't get that out of me. I don't own pets. Like, I don't know. I don't know what else I could say to ruin my character at this point. The pet store won't sell me any more hamsters. No, I got no other incriminating evidence that I'm going to hand feed you, as you do eat by the hand. I know you. If it's in a bowl, you won't take it, but if I cup my luscious hands around your mouth, you will eat whatever I give you.
Since we've been doing this recently with every episode, not that you would know because you haven't been listening, but
Thanks for that.
me and the normal co-host are actually both on diets and have been kind of keeping everyone.
Proceed.
Been kind of keeping everyone updated on how the diets have been going, and I want to just let everyone know that I'm now up to 26 pounds lost, and still going strong, still doing well on it. So that's pretty much it. A little update weekly. Look, I do it every week. It's a weekly updated podcast, and every week I tell people, how far along I've come so far. So it's just something I've been doing.
You ever miss it?
Miss?
The pounds.
Not yet. They haven't been gone for too long. Um, and for some reason, I have a feeling they'll find their way back home eventually.
Eventually, because modern consumerism is inventing all these new delicious things that are just totally unhealthy for you. And the day that they make self-microwaving hot dogs is the day that
No,
you
no,
start gaining 30
that's
pounds back.
okay. No, because the diet I'm on is just low carbs. I can eat the hot dog, just not the roll.
Oh,
Yeah. How about
huh.
that?
Well, all right then. You keep shoving hot dogs in your face there, diety.
This coming from the person that's been training tricked and liked it.
Yeah. Well, at least she was also non-fattening, so there's
And,
that.
and she already had a self-microwaving hot dog.
There we go. We could both have wieners. Oh God, I didn't need that. No, like I mean, I'm all for you trying to do the whole diet thing and I guess become a better person. Like I don't really know what the whole point of it is, but like why did you even go on a diet in the first place?
I went on a diet in the first place because here's the thing. Where I work, my boss, he's on this diet and he does not need to be. I mean, you know, to an extent, he doesn't need to be. He's not a big guy. He's actually already quite slim and fit and everything like that. But he just, his wife came up to him and told him that his wife's friend, her friend, is doing this program where she's trying to, I think she's a fitness instructor or something. And she was trying to like have before and after shots of this diet that she wanted to promote and instruct people with and everything. So she asked the both of them, as a couple, would you guys be willing to do this? And they said, you know what? Why the hell not? It sounds plausible. They were only supposed to do it for a couple of months, and like I said, take before and after shots. Well, they did it for a couple of months, took before and after shots, liked the results so much that they actually stayed on it. So they're still on it to this day, and both of them going strong. As a matter of fact, the wife of my boss is now also a fitness instructor and is also instructing the people that she instructs, and she's also telling them to do the diet as well, and helping them out with how to do it and all that. But so one day my boss was just talking to me or whatever, and uh, he said, we were just talking about how many carbs are in things that we eat in a daily life. Just not
Yeah, because
thinking,
it's food.
well, throwing caution into the wind and just going, you know what, I'm going to eat whatever I want.
Yeah,
I think the topic of
damn right, the American way.
right. I think the topic of age was at hand or something like that because I'm turning 30 this year and all that. So he was just like, you better
Old bastard.
exactly. And he was like, you better watch out what you're eating. It's all going to start catching up with you. I'm like, yeah, start. Uh, he was telling me, it's not that difficult to cut out carbs though. And I said, yeah, but I like my bread, I like my pasta and all that, and my potatoes. God, don't get me started.
Yeah, you are essentially a sentient hot pocket, so I can see where that would be difficult for you.
Exactly. So he was he was telling me to cut out soda, and I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even really like soda. I don't drink a lot of it. So I did cut out soda. I cut out soda for a very long time, over a year now, and never looked back. I was never a huge fan of it to begin with, so it was whatever. Uh, and when he eventually reapproached me with the idea of doing the diet, I said, look, I followed your advice before. I cut out soda. It's done nothing for me. I don't feel better. I haven't lost any weight. The only difference is I no longer buy something I don't enjoy that much. So
Right.
he's like, well, what did you replace it with? And I showed him the half-gallon size of lemon iced tea that I was drinking at the time, made by a company by the name of Turkey Hill. I also drink Wawa's iced tea. We have mentioned Wawa on the podcast before. They have a fantastic product in terms of iced tea. I'm sure Andy will.
I I agree. I agree 100%.
And yeah, it's just That's another great hash mark to put next to Wawa. Anyway, um, so I showed him that, and he goes, "Yeah, but how many sugars are in that?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, that's the one thing about soda. One of the bad things about soda is how much sugar is in it." He said, "But if you're replacing a shit ton of sugar with another shit ton of sugar, what are you really helping yourself with?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" So I grabbed the bottle and I'm looking at it, and sure enough, the damn thing is just as loaded, if not has more sugar than the soda did. I'm like, damn, you're right. So he goes, "Do you even have to drink iced tea and all that? Can't you just drink water?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll have you know, I can actually just drink water. I've done it before." He's like, "Why don't you just drink water?" And I was like, "Well, because I actually enjoy stuff in life."
Right. Yeah, because you don't want drinking to be a chore. You want it to actually be something you enjoy doing.
Right, right. So he said, "Why don't you prove it to me?" He said, "Drink only water for 30 days straight. If you could do that, weigh yourself before and weigh yourself after." And he says, "Let me know the results. And just see how much of a difference cutting out carbs in your drinking alone will make." And I was like, "You know what? You're on." And we did eventually. We were going to put some sort of bet to it and everything. He's like, "You could pretty much come up with anything, and I'll bet you because I guarantee I'm going to win." So I was in the process of
Have
thinking
a
of
gambling problem.
shut up. In the process of thinking of a bet, I was, it was over the weekend or whatever, and eventually I was just like, crap, I never weighed myself yet. And I'll do it Monday. So Monday morning comes around, and I wake up, do my morning routine, step on the scale. It was the biggest number I've ever seen in my life.
Hmm.
And I was like, something needs to change, because this is only going to get worse from here. So I went into work that morning, and I was talking to my boss about it and everything, and I said, look, I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to just do this just water thing. He goes, "Oh, you uh got back on the way, fell off the wagon already, huh?" And I said, "No." I said, "I want to go further and actually do the whole low carb thing." And he couldn't believe it. And he was just like, "I've been trying to convince you of this for forever now." He's like, "What made you change your idea?" I said, "Well, I've stepped on the scale and seen the biggest number I've ever seen in my life." He goes, "Yeah, that'll do it."
Yeah. Yeah. The need for self-improvement usually overrides habits after a while.
And how? So, uh, I told him the number and I said it needs to be lower. And that was about, I think, 64 days ago at this point, 64, 65 days ago at this point, right before me and Mike started this podcast, which is why I kind of fit in as to why I update everyone weekly. But
Wow.
yeah, so about 64 days later, and I lost 26 pounds. I mean, I'm still losing weight too every week, so I have not gone a week yet without losing a single pound.
Well, I mean, going to the bathroom hardly counts as losing weight. I mean, I guess technically it does, but at the same
Listen,
token, it's
if
not
it
something to
takes me
brag about.
if it takes me 64 days to go to the bathroom and I lose 26 pounds in one shot, I don't think my weight's the problem.
That is that is the super bowel.
At least not the WEIGHT weight.
Yeah, no, no, definitely the WAIT is the problem.
Yeah, because that's just time consuming, and I don't have time for that.
No, no. I mean, granted, I love spending a good half hour on the toilet if I have to, but I do not want to have to do that on a regular basis.
What is your go-to thing to do on the toilet?
Honestly, I have no idea how I ever went to the bathroom without a smartphone.
Right?
Um,
Like I was thinking about that the other day. Like, what did I do before there were smartphones?
yeah, which is so weird because like, okay, so this makes me also realize that I shouldn't be handling other people's smartphones because they probably do the same thing. So like, you are handling your smartphone while you are going to the bathroom. When you are done, you wash your hands, blah 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 blah. But you already handled the phone.
This is
There
true.
is there is probably crap particles on your phone at all times, and you are answering it, you are talking into it, you are letting people borrow it. Like we have taken fecal matter out of the bathroom one smartphone at a time, and we are spreading it around. How's that for your Candy Crush? Oh,
Oh,
the, the,
the title of this episode, should it be fecal spreading or fecal crush? Oh, I think I like fecal spreading.
the smart poop.
Smart poop.
That is exactly what we have on our hands, probably literally and figuratively. Smart poop.
Well, half half of the smartphone users they have an eye poop. Thank you very much.
Oh, and I poop. I mean, don't we all poop?
Everybody does. There's a book about it. I heard.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So,
equal lives matter.
so you're on your phone. What do you go and dare I ask, what do you go for typically?
All right. Well, certainly that is the time never to look up porn because it is really hard to pee with an erection. Um, but I mean, I just look up like news stuff. Like, there's always just random websites that I go to
News
for
stuff.
what
Is that what you said?
news stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because I mean, you look up a bunch of random stuff when you're on the toilet anyway, just trying to pass time. I mean, among other things, but the only thing you're worried about is keeping yourself occupied. 'Cause just staring at the tile is just boring as shit. Um,
No
so
fun.
yeah, not a whole lot going on. I might even um, play my WWE game on my phone and feed an entire stable of SmackDown roster to Hulk Hogan to make him better.
Wait, Hulk Hogan's on your game?
No, he's sadly not.
Okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah, apparently he's been disavowed by the WWE. He never existed. He never accomplished anything. He's not a Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous. But whatever. They're trying to play Men in Black about it.
I mean, at some point, and it's almost weird to say, but there's a good chance that the WWE is going to be around and here to stay for quite some time. No matter how much it dies down, it always seems to bounce back somehow.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, they have more money than Disney. I'm pretty sure they're going to be around for a while.
at the time, they'll be owned by Disney.
Oh man, they would almost have my entire childhood.
What do you mean almost? What's missing out of that?
Um, well, let's see. They already have Marvel.
Right,
They already have Star Wars.
right.
What else is missing out of my childhood? Um, well, so far as I know, they don't own a belt company, so that's one part of my childhood they'll never have. Um, let me see. Well, they don't own Fox. Fox was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Just Saturday morning cartoons or The Simpsons?
yeah, Saturday morning cartoons. But then again, everything that I watched on Fox at a young age was Spider-Man and X-Men, so
Oh, yeah.
they backdoored that shit. Um, they don't own Wizards of the Coast. That was also a part of my childhood a lot.
Pokemon cards, Magic cards, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if Disney were to own Nintendo, which would
Ooh.
never ever happen
You know,
or any lifetime.
you say that, but at the same time, I have often said, why not the two merge?
I, that amount of money should never exist. Like
Yeah,
there's a whole nother upper echelon. Like they could buy a planet.
they will literally rule the world if that happens.
Yeah, like I mean, you can have a monopoly on just about any kind. Like you would probably own half of pop culture. Like actual everything involved in pop culture, you would own
I would actually
strictly
say
half of
more.
it.
I would actually say more than half.
Maybe three quarters. There's always that shitty section of pop culture that nobody wants. That I'm pretty sure they'll be happy to not own.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, all the criminals and
Which,
you
to an
know.
extent, they kind of do own because Disney owns ESPN, and O.J. Simpson was a football player. Therefore, I'm sure at one point O.J. Simpson was reported on ESPN.
Man, that is like a 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon shit that you're pulling there, Disney. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
that
you
was
could probably do that with anything.
part of my childhood that they owned ESPN. Obviously, Marvel Comics. I would agree with you in saying Fox was just part of my childhood, not only for those shows, but also Power Rangers was on Fox, Simpsons
Yeah,
was on Fox.
yeah.
I think that might be it in terms of my childhood, from Fox at least.
And all the news that I didn't want to watch.
All the news that I didn't watch. I
Like
would find
growing
something.
up, I spent a lot of time at my grandfather's house, and he only had 3 channels that came in on his TV, and Fox was one of them. So,
What's great about my grandfather is when I went to his house and he actually had a lot of channels. Like he was the first house I've ever been to that had the History Channel. Not as exciting as it is today, but one interesting thing that he did have was obviously public broadcasting, and he would play that simply for Bob Ross,
wow.
and thus started my love for Bob Ross because my God, I do love him.
I don't understand that love. I really don't.
You know, I don't know if it's a nostalgic thing or if it's just a relaxation thing or what it is, but I can watch Bob Ross for hours.
Like, I look at your love for Bob Ross with the same curious raised eyebrow that I look at balloon fetishists, and I'm like, why? Why does that do that for you?
Balloon fetishes?
Yeah,
You want
you
to
heard me.
elaborate at all, or
No, 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 not at all. Well, the people that derive sexual pleasure from the popping of balloons,
the
like,
popping? Okay, see, I wasn't sure if it was just like a latex thing or what.
and probably a combination, but you know, the pop gets them off, and I'm like, all right, well, you know, pop goes your weasel. That's great, but I don't get that. I don't get it.
They
I
must
really
have
don't.
they must have a serious love for failing clowns. Try to make a balloon animal and just fail every time.
Oh, clowns. God, there's a fetish
Doing
for
it.
everything.
Keep doing it.
You keep making that giraffe until it sticks.
Yeah. Uh, what if the clown was a balloon fetishist?
That would make too much sense.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
We can't have that. It has to be either ironic, coincidental, or totally contradictory.
Okay, but since we're speaking hypothetically, could we possibly get what a clown would sound like getting off the balloons?
Oh man. Um, Probably would sound like something like, "Oh, here's a balloon. We're gonna blow it up. Poof, poof, poof. Gotta get some rocks off." Oh God, no, no, no. Too real.
Too real.
Too real. Could back out of that one. Harder, harder. Whoa!
Obviously that's is that the clown masturbating after the balloon popped or
No, it has to pop harder.
oh I see.
You can't just have a little and expect that to be satisfying. It's got to be like pa.
Obviously. Wow.
Oh yeah, thanks for that.
No, no, thank you. And thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Oh, you are so welcome. Otherwise, I would have just been playing Overwatch today, like the rest of America.
Me included.
Yeah.
So yeah, that being said, I am not 100% sure if we're going to have an interview this week. I will say this much though, folks. If we do, prepare to have your mind blown because I got a doozy lined up. And if you can make it this week, awesome. If not, he'll definitely be on next week. And we might just skip the interview this week and just see where it takes us next week because I want this one to happen. And I'm going to try every day until he's available because it's really good. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody because telling you the slightest bit of it would ruin what it actually is because he has to tell it in his words. And I mean, literally, when the interview does happen, if it happens in a few minutes, you'll know. But if not, it's not even going to be me introducing him. It's just going to be so. This is this week's interview, and I'm not going to introduce him. He's going to introduce himself because he can tell the story way better than I can. It's going to be you're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to love stuff, you're going to hate stuff. It's going to be a roller coaster, but it's awesome. Trust me.
Can I take a guess?
Go for it.
Is it the octopus that predicts the Super Bowl winners?
Damn it! You ruined it.
I mean, you gave it away.
Obviously, no, it's not the octopus that predicts the Super Bowl winners.
Because
And
that would be a hell of an interview.
other good news, we should be having a theme song coming soon. And that is,
No.
yeah, we're having a theme song coming soon. I got uh, a couple of people that are interested in doing it. I'll just put it at that. And some people that have worked on it a little bit already, some people that are in the process of working on it. And basically, I'm going to tell you guys like this: if you're one of those people, whoever gets it to me first, that's probably who I'm going to use. Assuming it sounds good. I don't want to sound that desperate.
Yeah, no, certainly not as desperate as you've been sounding.
Yeah, well, usually Mike's pretty good at interrupting me, so I don't sound too desperate.
Oh yeah, no, please, just a little
uh,
bit.
yeah, but that's what this podcast has been missing. Thank you, Mike. Would
Yeah,
appreciate
you're
that.
welcome.
Mike
Yeah,
would.
no,
Do you have any information for us about Terminator?
Terminator.
Yes.
Other than that Skynet is real and is going to control all of our brains at some point. No, no, there's nothing new that anybody needs to worry themselves about.
Well, if you for some reason get a random friend request on Skype from a guy named Mike, yeah, because you pretty much just nailed it on the head. He has quite a love for Terminator, specifically, specifically Terminator in general, but he was one of the people that actually liked the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I never saw a single minute of that.
No,
No, not one.
yeah, he's quite a fan. Anyway,
Well, who wouldn't be? Metal skeletons destroying humanity, traveling back in time. How appropriate for a franchise that about time travel that they can't get past the origin story.
well, if we have an interview, uh, that'll be starting right after this little spiel. But in the event we don't, because I'm professional and don't feel like editing, uh,
Go you.
Andy, thanks again for being on the show this week.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And that'll do it for this week's edition of Binary Friends. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Binary Friends. That means you too, Andy.
I'll try.
And don't forget to share and like the episodes. And they are all entries to win the copy of last week's guest book named Gaia by Jeremy Shapashko, who was last week's interview. And it's actually a signed copy of the book. So if you like and share, this episode is included in that. If you like and share this episode on any form of social media, every time you do it, you get an entry. So the more entries, the better chances to win. Don't forget to do that. And next week we will probably announce the winner. And I say probably because we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're hoping to announce the winner next week. So make sure you get your likes and shares and all that good stuff in, so you can have a chance at winning the book. It's a fantastic book. I've read a little bit more into it, and yeah, it's going great so far. So be sure to do that. And like I said, it'll be signed. So, one other thing, real quick, is Andy is a video game streamer on Twitch. So, if anyone's interested, tell them where they can follow you at, Andy.
They can follow me at my handle Dire Kiwi. It's DireKiwi.
So Twitch.
On Twitch TV. Yep.
Yeah. So twitch.tv/DireKiwi.
I also have a YouTube channel where I dump all my videos in. So if you can't catch the streams as I play them, then I always archive them on YouTube, which is under the same channel, Dire Kiwi.
There you go.
Hope you enjoyed watching them as much as I had, making them.
I'm sure people will enjoy them, and I'm sure they'll come check it out, because if you want more Andy content, and I'm sure you will, because if you don't, then you know what, maybe this podcast isn't for you.
Yeah, I'm a very acquired taste for some people.
I don't understand why.
Me neither.
But yeah, like I said, that'll do it for this week's edition. I'm Lyle.
I'm Andy. The only other parting advice that I have for people is wash your phones. They're dirty.
There you have it, folks. Wash your phones. See you next week.